Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset. Life is what you put into it. Get the most you can. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
It is go time, day 19. Here we go. Ultraspeaking app, impromptu, 9-minute talk. Let's see what this discussion today is all about. I'm going to put it on 9:15 so I can go back to the original screen, and then we'll get started with the full 9 minutes. Here we go. We are back with another Ultraspeaking I Can Do impromptu style discussion. My sense of humor is interesting. I believe I have a pretty good sense of humor, but if you were to ask a variety of people, they may say, well, Ben is a little cheesy or Ben is a little corny. I don't know if people still use that word anymore, but his sense of humor, it's not bad. My son gave me a joke last night, which I actually thought it was funny. He asked me to spell iCup, and so I did, I-C-U-P. And he got a big laugh out of that. I got a big laugh out of that as well. I asked him, hey, I want you to spell poop backwards. And he said P-O-O-P. And I said, no, spell it backwards. And he did it again. I said, no, spell it backwards. And eventually, I think he understood it the first time, but I was thinking, hey, this is something funny, right? I don't know if it came across as being super funny at all. I can remember a couple of weeks ago, I was preaching and I said something. I don't really try to quote unquote make jokes and things like that while I'm preaching, but I had said something about home Bible studies and we can eat and we can eat. In other words, we can have something to eat at the dinner table while we also feast upon the Word of God. I've said that before. No one, I don't think, smiled or laughed or anything like that. So on one hand, somebody may say, well, your sense of humor isn't really the best. But on the other hand, who cares? Who cares what people may think about our sense of humor? We live in a world where everybody is trying to kind of be confined or aligned with a certain viewpoint or personality. And if this is funny, then this has to be funny for me. Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all TikTok and all these other social media platforms are going to push the algorithms where people are more fearful of the algorithms than really just being themselves. That's why you have music on these social media sites that are trending. So if you play them, then maybe your content as well will also be trending. Sometimes young people fall into this trap of fitting in. If something is funny for one person, then it has to be funny for them as well. I don't think we need to buy into that at all. Sometimes people have a dry sense of humor. Sometimes people are just over the top with their sense of humor, and people can relate to really anybody. Listening and thinking about Jerry Seinfeld for all of these years and the TV show Seinfeld, or even other TV shows that are out there like Arrested Development, some people find those things hilarious and some people don't. So when it comes to my sense of humor, and that's what this is really all about, it is about me, and it's about what I find to be funny at times. What about you? Do you ever find yourself trying to wonder if you should laugh at something when somebody says something? I remember at a funeral, a preacher said something, and I thought it was funny, and he wasn't taking the whole situation lightly or anything by that stretch of the imagination, but he told the audience, it's okay, you can laugh, and they all started laughing. But there's often this tension of, I don't know, should I laugh at that or not? And I do think there is wisdom with that in certain settings for sure, but not to the point where we actually lose who we are when it comes to our sense of humor. I went to a comedy show. I've had a rule in life, and I broke that rule. It was a date night, though, with my wife, and she wanted to go see John Christ. So we saw him. He was in the Dallas area. I think it was November or December of last year. Fun time, fun show. You never know what a comedian's going to say. You never know which path they're going to take. There were two other comedians as well. It was really interesting seeing the dynamics to see how one comedian has more energy and one is a little bit more dry with respect to their sense of humor. I found myself wondering, I don't know if I should laugh at this, or, how far is this person going to go with that particular joke? That's maybe the beauty of comedy, sarcasm, of joking. You never know what's going to happen. So when it comes to my sense of humor, for the most part, I feel really good about myself. I know how to make people laugh. I think that's a quality that I have. I believe it's a quality that I have. I love to laugh. The big belly laughs where you can just kind of let go. In fact, just thinking about this a little bit more, growing up, we would go to my granny and papa's house and we would have birthdays there. So we never celebrated Christmas, but birthdays, Thanksgiving, never celebrated Halloween either. Birthdays, Thanksgiving, those were really the two big events that we would always have. And it would always get to some point where we would have some kind of roasting before I ever even heard this term of roasting before, where one of my cousins and my sister and I, we would just go back and forth and we would talk and we would make jokes about one another, about what we were wearing or doing or whatever, or what we looked like. And from the outside, you may think, man, these people hate each other. But in reality, we were just having a blast. Now, sometimes it went a little too far, but those are just moments where I could just be myself. I could have fun. I could have a sense of humor. I could talk. I could relax and I could take the jokes and they could take the jokes as well. I think all of us need that. I think all of us need some kind of place, an outlet where we can just laugh. We don't have to worry about someone recording us or questioning. It's just having fun. As I think more about this too, we need to laugh more at ourselves. We need to laugh more at ourselves. Do you ever do that? Do you ever laugh at yourself? Laughing is way better than worry. There's a book that I have in my library. It's called How to Worry Successfully by David Seabury. That's it. That's the author. He was a psychologist in the 20th century. It's a fascinating book. There's something way better for us to do than just worry about things. What if we laughed? There have been studies where people who have laughed their way out of certain diseases. Maybe some don't believe that, but the mind is a powerful thing. I know that. I know the Bible talks about having a merry heart. There are moments in our lives where we should have, no, let me take that back. There are tons of opportunities in our lives where we should be smiling and laughing and enjoying ourselves and even laughing at our own selves. We take ourselves way too seriously. And maybe that's why we sometimes don't have a sense of humor. Laughter is going to be way better than worry. Laughter is going to be way better than complaining. You know how some people do. They have a nervous laugh. They have like this anxious laugh. No, I'm talking about just a good old quality laugh. Wow. I made that decision. That was so foolish. I'm never going to do that again. Or laughing at our own mistakes. There have been times where I've been preaching for 15, actually over 20 years now, before I ever got into full-time preaching. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. You got to be able to say, man, I really messed up. Oops, let me say that again. I can remember when I was in Beaumont, Texas, I put on my suit jacket. I did my sermon. My suit jacket was just tight the entire time. It was like the arms were up here. I only had yogurt for lunch. I'm like, why is this suit so tight? And then at the invitation song where we all stood up to sing, I realized I had on someone else's suit jacket. Now that was funny. And maybe that sums up my sense of humor. Sometimes it just happens by accident, but no matter what happens or what comes out, we all have a sense of humor. Embrace it, enjoy it, and even take time to laugh at yourself. Thank you, and God bless. All right. There's 9 minutes, 42 seconds. We'll see you tomorrow.